This morning, I beg your pardon, at about 12:15 a.m., she says, due to the circumstances surrounding the Ihiala elect, what do you call it now? I beg your pardon. Ihiala results. It was impossible for the people of Ihiala to vote, and there are about 148,000 registered voters. And as a result of that, the election is declared inconclusive and will continue tomorrow, the 9th of November 2021. Yeah, it's not the first time we are having inconclusive elections. We've had in Kogi, we've had in many other places. It's not really the first time. When, of course, you look at the provisions of INEC guideline that clearly states that when the margin of an election is less than areas that elections were not concluded, or is less than cancelled vote, that election needs to be carried out again. And in that light, Professor Florence Obi, of course, did not declare the winner of that election. Instead, she, of course, said the concluding part of the election will be tomorrow. And to do this, I have with me ITV's senior political correspondent, Al-Hassan Bala, who was very, very much on the ground in Anambra State. In fact, he was there 2 days before the election, and he had seen so many things about Anambra and Anambra people. And of course, the many posts we saw of him on social media before that election is talking about how he has been having time enjoying the delicacies of the Anambra people, where he has to move from place to place and go to the green areas. Although he don't do green bottles, but he, of course, get himself with the no-no. No-no is everywhere, and he got himself, entangled with that. And of course, it goes along with, some fish and biscuit. Alasan, you are welcome from Anambra.
Thank you very much, Joseph.
So give us a sense of what really happened in Anambra State.
Well, a day to the election, there was actually people were not comfortable to even come out due to the hype of sit-at-home threat. Although the group has suspended the sit-at-home order, but unfortunately, people still could not come out to do their daily activities, where markets, restaurants, and so many other things were closed because of that fear of being attacked by the IPOP. And that actually led to a lot of issues by so many individuals that are trying to observe or cover the election, both journalists and observers. Although many journalists were on ground already to cover the election, and so many other observers were also on ground. But people in Anambra State has a history of not coming out to vote during elections since the year 1999. And when you look at the last election before this one, the whole total number of the vote cast actually didn't pass around 500,000, all and all. And Anambra State is the state with about 2.5 million voters. So which means that...
Is it 2.5 or 5 billion?
No, it's not up to 5 million. As it stands, there are even less than 3 million voters in Anambra State. Registered voters. So looking at what is happening right now, I can tell you that no matter what, the number of the votes that will be cast even after the this supplementary election that is coming up by election that is coming up tomorrow will not be more than 300 or 400,000, because of the fact that this election
it's not up to is 148,000 registered voters in Ihiala, and it means that if they are going for the supplementary election to make the process come to an end, we are not going to have more than that number cast their vote. If it is more than that number, it will be cancelled.
Well, Joseph, I'm not trying to say something bad about the Independent National Electoral Commission, but based on the Electoral Act, the declaration of the election as inconclusive is based on the Electoral Act and so many other guidelines there. But the problem is that, and what stakeholders and analysts are concerned now is not a repeat of what happened in other states that elections were declared inconclusive. For example, Kogi and Kano State. When you look at the current margin between the leading and the leading party and also the one close to it is just around 52,000 votes. But looking at the fact that the total registered voters in Ihala local government now is above 140,000, which means that it's almost 3 times to the number of the intervals, the margin between the two political or the 3 political parties that are actually now looking for that. So there are a lot of things that may happen, and it may surprise you that tomorrow you will see large turnout of voters in Ihala local government, and also you may end up hearing another different result if care is not taken. So the only hope is that the security as well as the INEC officials
Are you saying that there may be overvoting?
I didn't mean that there will be overvoting, but the fact that since the total registered, the turnout will be massive, maybe massive, because now all the attention will now be on only that local government from both political parties, and any political party that can be able, for example, to get off to, for example, now of the 80,000 votes, may be able to even be ahead of the current one that is leading. So there are a lot of contention, there are a lot of issues that may arise from that Ihala local government.
Now, if you look at the pattern so far, as we have been told by INEC officials, some of them really not happy with what has happened, especially the INEC resident electoral commissioner for monitoring, the man that came from Niger State. To him, how can you have an election with less than 25% of the total registered voters come out to exercise their franchise? So if what you are saying about 148,000, if we are going to have, is it possible to even have that number come out when what we have had so far is less than 25%?
Anything can happen, and INEC cannot question it. If people really come out tomorrow and in large number and cast their vote, nobody can question that. It's all about the issue of interest. It's all about issue of sensitization between today and tomorrow by underground lobbying by political parties and candidates. So it's all going to be like that. So the only thing, as I said earlier, Joseph, is the fact that in the history of inconclusive elections in this country, a lot of things do happen, like what happened in Kano State, where the intervals between the person that was leading then and the person that was just behind, and now it came to the surprise of many that so many other things happened. Although INEC doesn't have power to say that this, except in a situation whereby there is crisis or there is overvoting, then INEC can cancel that. Or when electoral or ad hoc staff are being harassed or put under duress to actually write the result or something like that. So those are the only things, except that INEC doesn't have power to say, okay, because people come out in numbers and cast their vote. And the other thing that the challenge INEC came across during the election was the issue of the beavers. And it was, for me, I can say that it's not a surprise something, because when we first have the card reader, we actually had that experience, because whenever you are going to start something using something new.
But alas, and why didn't we have some kind of piloting? You know, election is not a thing that you just try new technology, because there are many persons who have traveled from far and wide to actually be part of the process. They don't have to go that distance and then they have difficulty in exercising their responsibility that ordinarily should be within 15-20 minutes max, and then they have to remain on the queue for a very long time under the scorching sun. The beavers, well, it's a technology that one would say is very important, because it definitely will not allow multiple voting. If you even look at the stress you have to pass through to get yourself accredited and then you cast your vote, you will not want to repeat that process within that period. But what is expected is a system looking at what INEC has been taking from the Federation account, looking at the allocation to INEC, looking at the humongous sum of money INEC has been getting, and most time this money is their first line charge. They get their money before even other ministries. So how come with all that they have been taking, they have challenges of what we have seen, the Beavers challenge?
Well, Joseph, as I started saying, the fact remains that INEC use it in other by-elections, most especially the state assembly and some federal assembly elections, the by-elections across the country. So they started with Nasarawa and followed by other by-elections in some other state. So on those ones, it didn't actually fail them. But looking at Anambra, that's the reason why they deploy it to Anambra, because Anambra is a governorship election, which is not like a state by-assembly election, by-election. So that one is more of less number of beavers, and also a little bit less to the fact that it can be controlled by even engineers and so many other staff of INEC. But this one is, you are talking about entire state. You are talking about over three.
It doesn't matter whether
you are talking about 3,000 polling units. So those are the things, and this thing doesn't happen all the state. It happened in some other places, while in other places it actually worked very well. So with that, I can tell you that in technology it is normal. Little bit normal in every country, in every community or society. Once there is a technology, it can fail at any time, and you cannot blame somebody, because it's even human do have some one or two faulty issues to clear about machine. So, but the fact remains that INEC should have a backup. That is one thing, so that they can be able to deploy to those areas that had those type of challenges. But in as much as technology is concerned, INEC has tried.
You are trying to speak for INEC, but in reality, when it comes to election, INEC has the independence. INEC has the resources, over 100 billion given to INEC. INEC has time to prepare for the election. This Anambra state election was fixed by INEC yesterday, many months ago, in fact about 9 months ago. So for people to actually, for you to actually overcome voter apathy, it's not security that is the factor alone. Going out and having your business done within the fastest possible time is also a factor contributing to voter apathy. Like what we have seen so far and what many people have said, the outcome is very abysmally low compared to other states, compared to other elections. Especially this election that is staggered. Most staggered elections have large turnout, but it is not the case in Anambra.
I told you that Anambra always have history of voters not coming out to vote. They have that history.
If the process is not seamless, if the process is not smooth, if the process is not encouraging, you are going to be having that anytime you have elections.
It is not the issue of the system has not been smooth.
If people come out and spend 7-8 hours before they cast their vote, do you think such persons want to come out again in another election?
Well,
even with the e-hailer, we are expecting the elect supplementary tomorrow. You have predicted that there are going to be massive turnout, but some other person will tell you that it may even be worse than what has happened because of the technology deployed. Now, because of that, the challenge in technology, what other option would you recommend to INEC to use?
What I'm trying to say here is that the issue of Anambra State, the voter apathy, it didn't start today.
It cannot remain forever.
And also,
a step needs to be taken to overcome that.
Unluckily enough for INEC, this election is coming at a time that particular state, that particular region is battling with issue of insecurity and a threat of citizens being attacked, of a threat by which even the security forces are trying to protect themselves as they have been attacked several times by some separatist group. So that actually led to what happened. I told you that a day to that election, shops were closed, markets were closed, restaurants were closed. We battled to even get food to eat.
The closure of these places you mentioned is a directive from the IG that there should be 24-hour restriction of movement.
24 hours. It doesn't start from Friday. I didn't even say 48 hours.
24 hours, and when you say 24, nobody will want to be caught unawares because of some overzealous security personnel that may, how these things work. But well, let's look at this area where some security operatives were, agitating for being abandoned, for not being taken care of, particularly for not, receiving their allowance.
The issue is for the police in Anambra, those who are in Anambra Command, and some other state that were brought to Anambra State for the election. Some were paid their allowances in full, while some states, which basically I was told day before yesterday on the election day, include the FCT. Some police that were deployed from the FCT are yet to be paid their allowances. That what led to a little protest by some police officers agitating and showing their anger over non-payment of their feeding allowance and so many other things. But maybe there are a lot of challenges, and maybe the allowances should be, was to be paid to their account, and just like what we have in the Viva's matter, the network issue and so many other challenges. Maybe the bank, the police are using to send their allowances also have network issue, so it can be possible like that. But the Anambra State election was actually peaceful, unlike what people expected. And personally, what I saw was the fact that the way people think the election will happen, violence, this and that. I saw a peaceful election. I saw a calm area, although I know that people are afraid to come out.
Yeah, but there were pockets of ballot box snatching, and some INEC
that one is
officials also cut away with some materials.
No. The issue of that ballot box snatch only happened in some part of Onitsha, which when you compare with what had been happening in the country during elections, we can say
but should it happen at all?
We are getting there. The electoral umpire as well as the electoral process is actually strengthening by the day. It's getting stronger by the day. With the fact that something that normally happening rampant, it happening just in a very, very, very small area. So which means that with time, this thing will be over, and those are the issues.
And then the official of INEC.
The official of INEC, you know, in so many cases, the issue of the insecurity in the state might have led to what happened in the situation whereby he felt being attacked or being kidnapped or abducted by some set of individuals. Let me give you an example. While I was trekking from one place to another place, which I trekked for almost 7 kilometers, I saw some young people. We are trekking, 2 of us. I saw some young people which I wasn't comfortable with, but outside me I was so confident, but inside me I was seriously afraid. I was scared of anything can happen, because their faces shows some kind of different thing that I was so much afraid. So that's the reason why when I reached where I was going, I observed, take the shot, do everything. I quickly asked my colleague that, please, let's go back to Oka. So we have to rush back to Oka to continue with our work. So it may be even the what they call him, the INEC ad hoc staff also felt not comfortable, and also even some security agent. I saw a security agent that was seriously praying. That's why I haven't gone with him before they start. He was seriously praying for God's protection. I say, well, some people were actually saying that even the security personnel, now the way he was actually praying, which it actually means that then they asked him, he said yes, he has to pray as well for his own protection before he will be able to even try his best to see that he protect others.
Okay, if you look at the clip that we, of course, got from you, you discovered that we saw some security personnel, especially Nigerian police force. We saw them sitting with their cap on the floor, and it appears they are tired with the job. I don't know if the PD can look for that, but how come we have such, persons deployed to an assignment such as election coverage?
Joseph, there are three tiers of security they use this time around, unlike before, which they use. The first one with the armed policemen, the armed ones that actually will be on the road to every single polling unit.
Look at that policeman. They are just seated.
No, those ones are the ones deployed to
they don't even care.
No.
Look at the other one. His cap is on the floor.
No, let me explain.
You can't be holding
no.
them.
Let me explain to you.
That's how we expect. I think the IG need to.
No. Let me explain. Let me explain to you, Joseph. These ones you are saying.
If the elderly are seated, if you look at that man there, I'm sure he's in his 20s. What business has he to be?
Joseph, these ones you are saying, they have been
seated
deployed
in a very serious assignment.
They have been deployed to the polling unit. These ones are not armed.
It doesn't matter whether they are armed or not.
These ones are not armed.
They are supposed to occupy the place.
These ones are not armed.
So moving around.
Those ones carrying arms
to give signal that
on the road.
If anyone that has something inside, ulterior motive coming to that particular polling unit, the person will not go scot. That's the reason why they are deployed. They are not deployed to go and sit down like they are going to vote.
No, Joseph. as I started saying that.
Anyway, you are not the spokesperson.
I was there. I'm trying to tell you. I was trying to tell you what actually happened and the reason why you see these people like that. The first one I told you are the armed ones that are by the roads leading to the polling unit. The second one are those that are there without arms or not at the polling unit. The third one are the ones that are going around in case of any eventuality.
So this one, they fall into the category of those that should just go and sit down
in the polling units.
To just sit down and be watching.
Some are close to the polling
the ones that we have seen, the one that you captured, are they in the category of those that the IG said when you get to the polling unit, just go and sit down? Let's take a quick break. Thank you so much, Anambra, for your time with us on this discussion segment. It's really a good one, a good work that you have done, you know, crisscrossing Abuja and Anambra, and of course having yourself, you know, acquainted with the people, getting to know the people, and you have a testament to the fact that the place is really peaceful, you know, far and above what many people expected and what doomsayers actually predicted. It's a very good one. You're welcome. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the discussion on other matters will come on.